West Virginia's got some really fast movers in summer camp right now, and I've got a couple guys I've tabbed as future stars. Let's talk about them here next.
You are Locked On West Virginia, your daily podcast on the West Virginia Mountaineers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, guys? Welcome back in. My name is Mountaineer Paul. I am your host here, and this is Locked On West Virginia. We're going to be talking about some West Virginia football today. I'm excited to do it at 10:30 at night for Paul After Dark. Locked On West Virginia After Dark, something like that. Eric, I hope I did it justice. Thank you for the suggestion. I think it's a pretty cool idea. Maybe we can keep it going if I can keep depriving myself of more sleep. This episode is going to be brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances today with Monarch Money. Use Locked On College, the code at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first purchase. And thanks for making Locked On West Virginia your first, not your first, but your second listen. If you watched earlier today with Coach Mark Kellogg, which very grateful he came on the show, and for being a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, we talk about your team, the Mountaineers, every single day. As you guys know, I have some favorites out of this portal class, and I've made it pretty open that I like Sincere Bowers and I like Ben Bogle, guys like that. There's also some other guys that I've said that I've liked too, because I like a lot of these guys. I think that there is a world where, I've said it a few times. I think there's a world where maybe 10, maybe 15 of these guys really work out. Based on the tape, they've got the potential athletically, but there is a lot more to it than that. So because I don't know anything else about these guys, really, I haven't met them. I've only watched their tape a billion times. I've only spoken to players that, have only known them for, in some cases, a couple weeks. It's difficult to get a grasp on how good they might be, but we're going to talk about it, some fast risers in the summer. Then we're going to watch the tape. That's another thing that kind of limited. There was a couple other people that I would have probably liked to have included on this list, but there wasn't really tape to watch. So I'm going to have to wait until I get a hold of those guys and add more tape in. Another thing that's kind of hampering me here is my Google Drive is messed up. And of course I wanted to show Aiden Bustle again, because I think he, I just want to keep bringing it up because I believe Aiden Bustle is going to be a stud. But anyways, we'll get to it again another time. I recently had him on the show, and I recently showed his tape. So it's a combination of, because I've showed a lot of tape on this show, and I understand, like, you guys don't want to see the same guys too. So it's a combination of factors, but these are three guys that I've chosen at points to bring up specifically in shows that I've tabbed as kind of my guys I've said we're going to be good, which we're going to keep a running list of. I want to be held accountable. But here's the thing. If they've got more than a year left, I want to at least until the end of their career. We can talk about it after the end of the season, whether I missed on a guy, like let's say Bogle has a horrible year, or let's say he doesn't play very much, then we can talk about I missed that. I think that would be a fun segment. My misses, because I'm going to miss, if I hit on every one of these guys, then I'm in the wrong line of business, right? So, it ain't even the coaches miss, right? I mean, think about it. Everybody they brought in, they thought can play. So I see why when I watch the tape. So let's get to this. This is a fun segment. It's meant to be fun. And the conversations I've had for these guys ranged from a bunch of guys to like two guys in my gut. So they do range. This first guy is a bunch of guys. I know probably as much about this player as any other player on the team hasn't already been with the team. I'm continuing to focus on transfer guys as well, because, unfortunately, we're not able to watch the tape of like Landon Livingston or Nick Cray, really, unless you want to go back to high school, which we could do that, but I don't feel like it would be representative of who they are now. So it's just not what will we be doing at that point. First guy we're going to talk about is kind of the headliner of this group in on offense. I think there's two headliners, and there's another guy that I think could be equally as good as the other two, but I'm going to go with two guys that I really hyped up at different points. First of all, Cam Vaughn is the number one receiver on this team until proven otherwise. I just happen to think that Oron Singleton, who goes by Man, has a chance to impact us in a lot of different ways. He's not just a receiver. He is a kick returner, punt returner. He's extremely shifty. I would love to see the race between him and Cam Vaughn, between the fastest guy on the team, because I know for a fact that Oron Singleton would give him a run there. So I have a friend that plays his son plays for Eastern Michigan, defensive tackle. So I knew, Carson Lee as well as another guy, but I can't do some. I want to talk about other players later because we're in the off season, not to save some players to talk about, because we're going to have to continue to do this, guys. I know it's kind of repetitive at times, but at the same time, it's fun, right, to project and talk about these players. So, the Eastern Michigan, though, like I said, my buddy has a son that plays for Eastern Michigan, defensive tackle. So I was able to ask him about these guys. Obviously, Man was Eastern Michigan's best player on offense last year. It's easy to see that, and so he was their number one receiver by a large margin. If you look at skill set, size, all this, he's only got 1 year remaining, right? But if you look at what he did last year, he caught almost 70 balls for 640 yards and 2 touchdowns. That was 20 more than anybody else on the team, the second place guy. He played 697 total snaps. 432 of those were in pass catching scenarios. 258 were run blocking scenarios. He was targeted 98 times, caught 64 of those passes, which is a good percentage at 66.3. He averaged his yak was 235 yards after the catch. Not bad. And his depth of target was 10 yards, which is very good. That means he was at the sticks or beyond on almost every throw. Like, that means they were going deep to him a lot. He forced a bunch of missed tackles. He had 8 contested catches out of 18 attempts, which is a very good number. And he had 32 catches that resulted in a first down, which is what I wanted to highlight out of all those little stats there. He's a first down maker. He's a first down shaker. He's a first down receiver. He's a guy that you can throw him a bubble, he'll make somebody miss and get you 10 or 12 yards. He's also a guy that you put him in the slot and he's going to juke the hell out of whoever the safety or the corner is in that situation. He was good not only at Eastern Michigan, he was good at Hutchinson. He was good at Akron. He was all Mid-American Conference second team in 2024. And, I think if you want to talk about his strengths, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bullet points for strengths. Blazing speed, literally blazing speed. So I said I would love to see a race with him and Cam Vaughn. Probably give Cam Vaughn a slight edge because of his long legs and height. But I'll give Singleton the quickness advantage by a little smidgen. His quickness off the line and after the catch make him a nightmare for defenders. He had, like I said, he had 235 yards after the catch in 2024. That's quite a bit. Think about that. If he didn't have that, he would have only had right around 400 yards receiving. Instead, he's got almost 700 yards because of those yards after the catch. It's a big, big difference. In the slot is where he makes his money. He's a super agile route running, precision type route runner where he creates these mismatches. He's got a 91.5% snap alignment in the slot. So that means basically at 91.5% of the time at Eastern Michigan, he was in the slot. That's exactly where he'll be in Rich Rod's offense. 8 out of 18 contested catches, very interesting. His contested catch ability is a crazy thing for his size at 5'10". Playmaker, obviously he forced a bunch of missed tackles, converts catches into first downs 50% of the time. So he's a chain mover like we talked about. and he's got a lot of experience. He's played junior college. He's played at the low power four level, lower group of five level at Akron and Eastern Michigan. And those guys face good players. We know that. So he brings a veteran savvy to the room. He's going to pick it up quick. And I think he's going to be a guy that you see make plays early in the year. If you look at scouts, what have they said about Oran Singleton? He brings a much needed experience to the wide receiver room that is currently lacking it. A skill set that is on the surface seems like a really good mesh with what Rich Rodriguez wants to do. He checks a lot of boxes on a lot of different fronts. 247 says, oh, they have no direct quotes on Singleton. I wrote down, but the site notes that West Virginia's aggressive portal strategy under Rodriguez emphasized players like Singleton who had speed and juking ability on the roster. ESPN didn't have anything specific to say except that they highlighted him as one of their 5 key additions to the 2025 roster, which that's pretty good. So my general scouting take on this is just what I wrote down is I think he's an explosive playmaker with the ability to stretch defenses. He's got speed. He gets yards after the catch. He's got contested catches. Oh, by the way, he can be the guy, not just a guy. He can be the guy and possibly an all Big 12 guy at kickoff return and punt return. It's extremely valuable in a lot of ways. Why is he a future star, though? That's the question with all these guys. Why or why not they a future star? I could do videos on guys I don't believe in and why they're not stars, but I don't feel like I don't want to do it. I've thought about it, and it would be interesting in theory, but all you're doing is trashing these kids, so it's not going to do that. So maybe at another time, if we're performing poorly, we can get there. So why he's a future star is this. Oron Singleton is a spark plug in our offense. I think he's got a chance to match or get close to what he did last year at Eastern Michigan. You catch 60, 70 balls at the Big 12, you'll be an all Big 12 player, and you'll be getting NFL draft looks. His speed, his slot dominance, and his knack for turning catches into long gains make him an extremely good fit for a Rich Rod offense where you look at Jock Sanders. I bring these guys up a lot because they're, in my opinion, the best 2 slot receivers Rodriguez ever had, at least at West Virginia. Jock Sanders, Darius Raynaud. Obviously, 2 really good players and very similar players. They're almost carbon copies of each other, actually. Like they were one after the year. Like it was Darius Raynaud, then it was Jock Sanders, right? So, he's not exactly them because he's not as thick as they were. Those guys look like running back playing slot. But he does what they did from a playmaking standpoint. You can toss him the sweep. You can toss him the jet. You can give it to him around the edge, and he's going to make people miss. He's able to get around guys through yards after the catch, which make him an ideal fit for the up-tempo system. And I think his transfer profile basically overall emphasizes immediate impact potential. So production, familiarity with high volume passing attacks. He had a lot of balls thrown his way. Experience, the just the general production are all reasons. So I think you can expect him to be a go-to target, possibly the number 2 or 3 receiver this year, which I think could, is star a stretch for that? Maybe. I think we could have 2 star receivers this year. I think he's got a great chance to be one of them. So does Jaden Bray for sure. I'm not leaving him out, by the way. He's just he's already on the team, So these are guys that we know about. We don't really know what these guys are going to be. We're projecting here. He's also a Florida kid, keep in mind. And that's another thing about him that I think Rich Rod likes. Those Florida receivers, he loves them. God, does he love them. Let's go to break really quick. On the other side of the break, we're going to watch the tape. Oran Singleton. Why is he so good? Well, you'll see next. And this episode of Locked On West Virginia going to be brought to you by Monarch Money. When it comes to Monarch Money, if you are like me and you've looked at your bank account and wondered, where did all my money go? Well, between Donna, stuttering, dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, it's easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in. It's your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. It's not just a budgeting app, by the way, people. It's a complete financial command center where you can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place so you can stop managing your money and start building your wealth. Take control of your finances today with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. It's segment 2. I've got to do to crack. I got to do to crack. I do. I wanted to get some tea and I went in there to look and I was totally out. So it's not my fault. It's the refrigerator's fault. Let's get to the tape here. Oran Singleton, a very fun player to cover, a guy that I'm really pulling for tough. I love these undersized receivers, man. I think they're so fun to watch. This is a guy that, gosh, that's not very big. Hopefully there's other footage on here besides that. Yeah, we got some right here. Okay. And that's looks like the same size. Hold on. We'll get there, I'm sure. We just got to find a couple. Let's see. So if we go any further back, that's Hutchinson. Looks like we're going to have to watch this one. Hopefully it's big enough for you guys to see. So that looks like practice. Talking about practice. Looking like practice again. These are not great angles. Oh, that's him on the outside there. Yeah, you can tell. Well, I mean, if you can watch this, right here on the outside, look closely, pull your phone closely if you can. Watch the speed and quickness off the line here. It's pretty ridiculous when you look at it. Bam. And he is absolutely gone down the sidelines. It's not even a question. Here he is in the flow of the offense, which will take that way past the receiver. I mean, goodness gracious, he flew past this guy. Kind of shoddy camera work, guys. And I apologize on this. Wasn't expecting that. I'm assuming he's recording this on his phone, off his computer. But as you can see, this is the play. Maybe we'll have to try to watch a different one. This is him in motion right here. And as you can see, watch this move he puts on him right here. Boom. To go by him. Really nicely done. So what do we got here? It's hard to say who is who on these sometimes, Oh, yeah, he just went way deep on that one. I'm going to go ahead and this is just a little bit too hard to watch for me personally. Let's see if we can find something else. I didn't know it was going to be so tough to watch. Here's some stuff. If you look at it, this is him at Hutchinson. This is fine. I think this is only 2 years ago. I think you get a great sense of like his speed and everything. Here he is right here with the catch. As you can see, he's got the ability to turn this thing up and really get it. As my dad used to say, he can shit it and get it. That's exactly right. He's one of those kind of players that you just toss it out to him in the flat, he can make you miss and go, 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 go. Keep in mind, he had better stats at Eastern Michigan than he did at Hutchinson Community College. By the way, Hutchinson's the #1 junior college in the country. They have the best players. They have the best of everything. They've got several Power 4 players on their roster every year. They're literally like in Alabama or something in the junior college ranks. So is this the same play over and over? What's going on here? What's really going on here? So let's try to watch this one maybe. I mean, I think it's a little easier to see than the other for sure. As you can see here, watch him run by people. I mean, he's way out in front. If you look at it this way, here's a nice play with the bubble pass at Eastern Michigan. Makes a guy miss. There's one, there's two, there's three. He just makes people miss. That's what he does. There's a contested catch situation. Very nicely done there. Hopefully it shows him on kickoff return as well because he does that so well. Over and over again, though, on tape, what you see out of him is speed, speed, speed. Here he is again. Then this is what they do. Like, this is Dana Holgerson concepts all day long. Like, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 eligible, no, 5 eligible receivers, and you run 2 guys, and you run 2 guys on all verts, and then you've got a guy running a speed out, and all it does is these 2 verts kind of create a natural rub, so there's a slot corner here or safety, I'm not really sure which, gets caught in a kind of a bind. The receiver breaks off their route easily and early, and the receiver and the quarterback just throws it out to space. Remember, that's exactly what Dana Holgerson's offense was all about, was just attacking space. And that's a great example of what this play is here. This is nothing more than attacking space. Watch him get to the space. Watch the ball find the space. And that's all it is. He was the inside receiver there, so I do apologize on that. But, yeah, same concept, though. I think these are hard to see, guys. I am sorry. He had another tape. I don't know exactly what happened to it, but he had a much better highlight tape on here than this. Looks like that might be him right there. That is him. Okay, so, that's a great one there. I think it gives you a great example of why. Like, if I could point out one reason why I think he'll be successful at West Virginia, this is probably a play I'll point to right here. Watch the quick move off the line, right? That's the first thing you notice. Like, it's not just your average quick. It's like real quick. And then watch how quick he gets downfield with just straight speed. This is what makes him dangerous. Oh, accidentally. There we go. And he is by you. And the quarterback made a pretty good throw there. So that's kind of what Man does. Here he is here, I'm pretty sure. Very beautiful route. That was a very pretty route. I don't know how well you can see it, guys. Watch the couple moves he puts on them right here. 1, 2, 3 moves. Very nicely done. That's not an easy concept to pull off as a route runner. Here he's in punt return. That excites me because I wanted you guys to see this. See the quickness? I mean, as soon as he got that ball, he was by the guy. Boom, gone. Boom, gone. And there he is. He's tough to wrangle in. And once he starts getting really going, it's really difficult at that point. Because if you can get in the first 10 or 15 yards, he doesn't really build up enough momentum yet. But once you let him get downfield and running, like this right here, if he turns the corner, it's over. So, he's got the speed to take it to the distance every single time. There's a great route. I think that's another great example of exactly why I think, look at this route up here. Here is at the top of your screen pretty much, with to the right of your screen on the formation. Watch the route he puts on this guy here. Boom. You see how he uses his body to leverage out? He fakes he kind of fakes leverage outwards and then busts that thing in. Boom. Very pretty done. It's very nicely done. Anyways, point is, I love him as a route runner and receiver. I think he's going to be great for us. He has a chance to be even more than great, I think, depending on a few different factors. So I must have missed this one. Here's another one. I mean, he can really fly, guys. So Man Singleton, give him a hand. We'll see exactly what he looks like at the end of the day. I think it's going to be fun to keep track, no doubt. And there's a lot to like there. But he's not the only guy here that I love. Mentioned him first, but that's not necessarily because I think he's first or second or third. They're all about the same. And after the break, we're going to talk about the next guy. What do you guys know about Jordan Walker? We'll be right back. Here we are back on Locked On West Virginia in segment 3. So Jordan Walker is probably one of the least talked about players that we picked up in the portal. I never see anybody talk about him. I never see anybody say much of anything. If you look at what he's done in his career, he's also a senior. All 3 of these guys are seniors, by the way. That was intentional. Last year at Chattanooga, he had 60 tackles, 7 pass breakups, 4 tackles for loss, 749 defensive snaps total, with a 77 Pro Football Focus grade. He was targeted 77 times last year. I mean, like they came after him at times. His career at Chattanooga, he had 147 tackles, 9 tackles for loss, 9 passes defended, 4 interceptions, and 2,067 snaps. He had 939 at free safety, 756 in the box, and 348 in the slot. And all his grades were 73 or better, Pro Football Focus, in each of the last 3 seasons. So those are all very good. So strengths for him, his coverage prowess, I think, is the strength for him. His 4 career interceptions, 9 passes defended, with only 2 touchdowns allowed in his career on 77 targets, highlight his elite ball skills and ability to shut down passing lanes. He's got versatility. He's played free. He's played in the box. He's played in the slot. He can adapt to multiple roles in a defensive scheme, which means he's a plug-and-play guy, which means you're going to see a lot of him. If a guy's tired, you can throw Jordan Walker in there. If Jordan Walker's a starter, then maybe that's a little different. I think he's probably going to be – I don't know. I think he's got a chance to eventually start. I don't know how the backfield's going to shake out just yet. I know he's going to play a lot of snaps, and I think he's got a chance to really turn into a star based on his. It'll show on tape. He's just a very good athlete as well. His Pro Football Focus grades were very good. He's also a big kid. He's 6 foot, 190 pounds, and delivers really hard hits on film. And he's got great instincts. You'll see it on film here in a second. He really watches the quarterback's eyes well and is able to read routes. It's just an instinct I think you get after playing a bunch of snaps. You get an idea for what guys try to do to get open. And once you get an idea for tape study, watching the guys and their tendencies on how they get open, if they don't have tendency breakers, then you can eat as their lunch, right? That's why coaches preach tendency breakers a lot. And that's what they actually in practice do tendency breakers, because if you don't break your own tendencies, teams are going to scheme up, figure out what your tendencies are, and play towards that. Same thing at receiver. It's literally this detailed. I like to explain this to the casual fan a lot that thinks football is like a dumb person's game. When you think about just receiver, for instance, a lot of times receivers are taught very specific steps, hand movements, arm movements, head movements, literally every little thing to fake or feint or to be able to do a specific route. And once you get it down, you can kind of fall into the same routine when you're breaking into your route process every single time. So let's say on a post pattern, you've got, maybe let's say you lean out and you bust it back in every time. Like that's your little thing where you try to get the leverage on the corner by leaning out just for a second before you bust it in. Let's say you do that every time. Well, a really good player that studies film, like Jordan Walker, by the way, is going to see that on film. And every time you lean out, he's going to attack your inside hip because you're busting it in. And unless you break tendency, you're going to get it alive, right? So tendency breakers are something that gets talked about a lot in the building, doesn't get talked about a lot outside of football. It's more of a nerdy kind of thing. I think a lot of people look at, you see it a lot on shows where they go deep into analytics, but tendency breakers are a real thing and important. If you look at scouts, what they've said, Rivals, 247, ESPN, all had things to say about him. The general theory is he has a ton of experience and versatility, makes him an intriguing fit. He's a defensive back piece that the coaching staff can maneuver around in different spots, making him multiple and versatile. Also an aggressive secondary player is what 247 says. And ESPN says he has really good size and is expected to bolster West Virginia secondary. My take is he's absolutely versatile. He's got really strong coverage grades in his career. He's got a nose for the football. His Pro Football Focus metrics and snap count are both indicators, in my opinion, of his readiness to take another step here in his last year up to the Power 4 position in the Big 12. And his fit in the Zach Alley defense, I think, is more intriguing than anything else because he's literally one of the. If you're going to have a prototype for the kind of player that Zach Alley wants in this defense, it will be Jordan Walker based on his ability to play the multiple different roles. Is because if guys can play the multiple different roles, it makes you so much better as a defense because not only do you know your job, but you know your buddy's job. And if your buddy's not in a good spot and you know where the ball's going that play, sometimes you can abandon your own job to save your buddy's ass and not get beat deep or kill the play, right? But if you only know your job, how are you going to know what your buddy's doing, right? So when you're versatile, you can plug a lot of different holes for people, which is kind of what happened to us, I think, a couple different times under Coach Leslie when we had those first couple really good defenses. We also had, guys that have been around forever. So let's call, we'll call Jordan Walker the coverage king for now. We're going to call Oron the slot sniper for now. Okay. So we'll get to the the tape. Sorry. My brain wanted to turn off. I'm not letting it turn off until we do this last player first. Let's get to the tape here. Jordan Lewis or Jordan Walker. Sorry. Getting names confused and everything. Now I can't even say confused. Now I want to say combined because I did combine two names. Lord have mercy here. Let me get a drink of dew before I go crazy. So this is Chattanooga versus Mercer. I will say that Jordan did all this at a lower level, and it's valid. I'm not going to say that anybody that feels like they need to see more is wrong here. I always say this: if you evaluate tape like I do, and are kind of like an aficionado as far as it's a hobby, like I'm not a professional at it at all, but I know enough to have a conversation with the coach, right? Like I did with Coach Kellogg earlier. I was talking very specifically about certain things because I've really dove in and tried to be good at that. Same thing with this. So, when I watch Jordan Walker on the field and I watch his body move, he looks like a power forward player. You can tell the difference after you've watched enough. If you practice and watch enough tape, eventually you'll trust your own eye. And at least that's how I've become. Like I can, like there are certain guys that I don't see how they see it, and I'm sure people feel the same way about guys I evaluate. Everybody has their own things they can see and things they overlook. Things I overlook are more technique based, but I can see a good athlete a mile away. I can see a guy that's quick, twitchy, athletic. Like those are the things I'm able to see. And like technique based stuff are things that I would probably miss more than anything. All right. So he's back here. This is just one of those, the very first play you see from him is a play he shouldn't make. He's over here. And you see as he comes over and just what a play he makes on the ball right away, coming out from his safety spot. I mean, that is and if you go look at, I think, when they did the jumping thing, I think his vertical was up in the 30s, maybe close to 40. And you can see it like whenever they posted them, like they were all doing the jumping and stuff. A couple weeks back, they posted some videos WVU did. His vertical was ridiculous on that. So not a surprise to see him do that at all. Here he is in run defense, and that's another thing. This is what I'm saying. When I say, okay, he moves a little bit different compared to his peers around him. Watch him come downhill here. See how quick he got there? And it's just the authority with which he gets there. It's very good. So here it is again from another angle, and it's the decisiveness as well. I mean, here he is right here. Boom, and a perfect tackle as well. Like to see that. Here he is over here. You can see he undercuts that ball, and look at the speed with which he's moving here on this play. You can pick it up about right here. It's grainy, but you can see it. Watch how quick he moves and watch how fast he is Watch how he gets, he undercuts the ball here with that speed. He had to run around the referee to get there. That's really good athletic ability. That was supposed to be a touchdown. Now, that wasn't the greatest throw either. Beautifully done, and that was a great coverage play. This is what I'm talking about. In coverage, he excels so well. Look at him in his back pedal. So this is his back pedal, right? It's something all DBs have to learn. Everybody's a little different. Some guys are more hunched over than when they do it. Some guys are straight up when they do it. You see this guy over here, he's a little more hunched over. You see Jordan, he's a little bit more upright. And watch the hips. This is what coaches evaluate when they watch defensive backs. Whenever a receiver starts to get up on a defensive back, they've got to flip and flip those hips around, right? The faster and more flexible hips are, the quicker and easier your transitions are going to be, which means the less speed you're going to lose in the transition, which means your recovery speed and your catch-up speed are going to be better the better your hips are. Because think about it like this: you're not, if you're hitchy or if you struggle with it, you're ruining the momentum to a certain extent. Some guys are so fast that they can get over bad hips. Jordan Walker just happens to has good hips. See the flip, boom and boom, didn't lose hardly anything, and there he is. You got to love that. Here he is again. The camera's focused in on him. Look at how much, relative to his peers, once again, I say. Look at how he moves and look at how everybody else is moving on this play. He's moving different. And there's a reason, There's a reason we picked him up. Beautiful tackle there. Look at that hit. Another beautiful hit. Good Lord, guys. This kid, right here, it's not huge, but, he gets there pissed. Like a bunch of guys, we've seen a few guys like that. Fred Perry won. Jordan Walker's won. Like, we've got a few guys that have come in this year that are pissed when they get there. When I think that's the kind of players they're going after. Ooh, this is a bad one. I hate when they're like this. Hopefully there we go. Flip back over. Here he is again. You can just tell he's moving different than his peers, right? Look, when you're judging players and you're using your eye to judge a player, look at him versus the players around him. Is he at the same speed as the other guys moving towards the ball at a lower level? If he is, then obviously he's as good as they are and doesn't need to come up. Is he just obviously so more athletic? Then maybe you should take a look. And then there's other things outside of that, but that's at least where you start. And I think, this is another play where you see like, okay, he's moving different than everybody else. Love that back pedal. Boom. Nicely done there. So, and he's got some attitude about it when he gets there. You got to have it at DB and wide receiver. I think both. You have to have that attitude, that pissed off kind of nature to you, because you take a lot of hits, you give a lot of hits, the whole thing. Jordan Walker, man, is a kid that loves enjoys inflicting punishment. That was a nice pick there. Let's see if we can catch it in slow-mo. So it looks like it's off a tip right here. Yeah, it's off a tip. And so it looks like he just scoops it right out of the air right there. Nicely done for an interception. Here he is right here. Look at him fill that gap. You see how quickly he filled that hole right there? And if you look, they put his guy, they put a guy in motion. I don't know if it was his guy or not. And he almost went with the motion, but watch him diagnose. Diagnosing plays are a big deal, right? If he would have just followed the motion guy and ran with the guy, then guess what's wide open, which is what they're counting on. They need him to keep following the guy in motion. That's why he's in motion. And Jordan Walker said, no, I think I'm going to fill the alley and watch here what he does instead of following the motion, which would have probably been passed off to somebody else anyway at a certain point on the field. I'm not exactly sure how it works in their defense, but because you can see, he sees it right away. It's not even really as much of a hesitation, like he's there. So is that Ty Edwards, Northern Iowa, by the way? Gosh, he's got film from inside a where what was that one? That was a wow. That was crazy. So oh yeah, nicely done there too. So yeah, Jordan Walker's a guy, guys. I mean, no big shock, but I think his size, athletic ability, the entire thing, and here's another play where he uses his head once again, right? You just look in the backfield first. Watch what's happening on the play like you're watching football first, and then come to Jordan next. So you've got motion, you've got a tight end coming in. It looks like it could be a counter. It looks like it could be a trap. I mean, there's a couple different plays it can be. You know, and it's I mean they're up 21-3, so that kind of matters here. But as you can see, look, they fake two different things and still throw the ball, and Jordan sticks around and watches the quarterback's eyes and makes the play. So, you see that on tape a lot. Here he is again, once again, last one. How are you moving as it relates to your peers? He just looks different. Boom. And there he is to make the play. So, Jordan Walker, somebody I think that West Virginia fans will be talking about this upcoming season and has the potential to be a star in this defense because it features safeties, right? This is why I picked two safeties on this one. Well, let's go to break or not break, but let's go ahead and jump right into the next guy. Since we're already kind of over here, we'll jump right straight into our last player here, which is none other than Darren Lewis, a guy, and you guys know how I feel about Darren Lewis. I'm going to go through his breakdown really quick. So Darren Lewis, obviously out of Akron, you look at what he did the last 2 years. He got 150 tackles over the last 2 years, 10 passes defended. He's got 432 in the slot. He's got experience in the box and free safety. He is one of those dudes that has a chance to be an All-American. I think he's got Beanie Bishop potential. Told you that us guys since we signed him. I think he's got a chance to be that good. 205 career tackles, 17 passes defended, 10 and a half tackles for loss, a couple interceptions, over 1,800 defensive snaps. He's got 375 of those at corner, and he's probably going to play safety for us. He's got a good skill set he brings to the table. He's probably going to make an immediate impact, like we talked about. Versatile, can play multiple roles. He's a proven playmaker. I mean, at the end of the day, and he's got 1 year left to do this. And why is he a future star? I think he's a versatile, hard-hitting defensive back that West Virginia fans are going to love. He's got 205 career tackles and 17 passes defended, which makes him more of a proven commodity who can lock down receivers, stuff the run, plays multiple roles in your defense and in your secondary. And, got a chance to be one of the best of the 11 guys that we've added in the defensive back room. He's able to play nickel, safety, and corner if you really need him to. And once again, you've got multiplicity going on. You've got different things you can do with the player. You can put him here, you can put him there. So I think he's got Ohio grit, and I think he's got a chance to shine in Morgantown. So get ready for Darren Lewis to make some plays in Morgantown as well coming up here in 2025. And we're going to go right to this is the very first video I ever shared of his. Obviously, my buddy over here at BIP List, who, by the way, has 15,000 YouTube subscribers. I know this channel doesn't have as many. But if you look at Buffalo in Prime over on YouTube, they've got 15,000 subscribers over there, and they do the same thing on that. They're just trying to build this BIP List up for now. But, I think he's a good evaluator. I trust his eyes. I've said it multiple times. 5 stars is pretty rich for my blood on Darren Lewis. I mean, to be 5 stars, you've got to be really good, like the Caleb, whatever his name was from Ohio State last year. Like, to me, that's 5 stars. I don't even think, even though Beanie Bishop was an All-American, I don't even think he was 5 stars. I would give him really, really maybe 4.5 for sure. But even as an All-American, I don't know if he was quite 5 stars. 5 stars for me are like a first-round draft pick, right? Like, that's what I see 5 stars at, in college. So, not in high school, in college. So Darren Lewis he's got such fun tape as well. And he's done it at a comparable level. Here he is right here. You can see him. He's played all these different roles. As you can see, he gets there really fast, man. Moving faster than Jordan right there on that play. I don't know if it's every play, but on that play, you can just see it. Very, very nicely done. I think this is the same play done over again. Yeah, it is. He about killed that running back for sure. Here he is right here playing. I don't know why it's dark all of a sudden, but look at he just didn't give up on the play, which I love to see that. Where is he on the play? Okay, same play. Watch him come out of your screen right here. Not giving up. Love to see that. That Rich Rod probably saw that play and said, offer him, right? Because, some guys would have just let that go. There he is up in run support once again. He does this a lot. Here he is in coverage. As you can see, he breaks on the ball very nicely, makes a nice play on the ball there. Here he is in the slot, and boom, what's he do? It's inside of 5. He's rerouting this receiver. And then look, not only does he reroute a guy, he moves off of him and tackles somebody else. That's doing your job. I know it sounds silly, but it would have been, there are plenty of guys that would have forgot to do this one little thing and put their hands on that guy and just reroute him just a little bit. Any kind of thing you can do to mess up their rhythm is great. And then boom, you move up to make a tackle. Perfectly done. You love that. Once again, playing up in the safety spot. And his reactions are just so nice. And look how far he's got to run to make this play. He's always going to be involved. He's always going to be where you need him to be. Very, very, and here he goes. He outruns the angle from the receiver trying to block him. No shot because he read the play, and he also made the play. That's important to note there. And here it is from another angle. As you can see, and this is what I'm talking about. This is against Ohio, a team that won double-digit games, right? A team that won 3 straight 10-win seasons. Do you think they got some pretty good players on their team? So this kid here, probably a pretty good athlete. Darren Lewis, a much better athlete, obviously, outruns him to the ball. That's great. That's a great job. That's a great job. You got to be able to do that. You can't get caught up. And this is a great angle of it here as you see him start to run by. And, he's really not running full speed. I would say that's probably 75% speed there, maybe 80. You can tell he's not on his hump necessarily. Now, that should have been picked off, but what a great play here by Darren Lewis. Watch him read the quarterback's eyes the whole way. He's literally linked up with the quarterback and the receiver and makes a great play on that ball. I know he probably wishes he would have picked that, but overall, here it is from another angle, I'm assuming. Once again, they shift last minute, which is changing the picture for the quarterback. Once again, this is a 10-win football team. As you can see, did not fake him out in the slightest. Watch the receiver come right here, and you can see he's already read this. It's going inside. Look at the receiver's hips. Which way are they pointing? They're telling you everything he's telling you. He's either going this way or this way. So if he breaks that thing back out, he would have been beat bad, but he'd have to be really good to do that. And so he read that thing pretty easily and met the ball where it was. Nicely done. Off the edge, man, he's good off the edge. I think it might be one of the best things he does is coming off the edge. Like, he's so good coming off the edge. I really, really like him as a just getting in the backfield, messing people up, muddying up the play, pass rushing, whatever you want him to do. I think he can do it. Look how far off the ball he is here. He's 20 yards off the ball, at least. And watch him. Just taking in all this information, doing all this different stuff. He's breaking right away to where he needs to go. Now it's a scramble drill, staying with his guy. Now he comes up all the way 30, 40 yards and makes the play. Those are the things I think Rich Rod probably sees on tape and says, oh, yeah, that kid's got a chance to be something special. So Darren Lewis, another guy that obviously we've talked about a lot, absolutely has a chance to be very good for us. And there's no reason to think that he's not going to be one of the big time contributors on the defense. There are other guys. I think those three were very, very nice. We're talking about potential future stars here, and I gave you as much as I could as to why they're positioned to do that. Now, I will say here's a caveat here at the end. I'm not guaranteeing this is going to happen or anything. I have said that Darren Lewis, of all the players that we've evaluated here lately, I've said a lot of things about Lewis. I think he's going to be very good. I also think Man has a chance to be our number 2 or 3 guy. So, sometimes that word star maybe is maybe not exactly the right term, but I do think that very productive starting players for us, I think all 3 have a chance to be. Jordan Walker is a wild card for sure, but I think his size and overall athleticism and the number of snaps, he's a senior. Like, these guys aren't coming here as seniors not to play, or they would just went somewhere else. So he's going to play a lot of snaps. We're going to see these guys get used to these names because they're all going to play, in my opinion, unless they're hurt or they just end up sucking. You just never know how a guy's going to adapt, right? Like, the tape tells you they're all athletic enough and big enough and strong enough and fast enough to really play. Obviously, Zach Alley knows what he wants. I have no doubt Zach Alley knows what he wants by now in his defense. But at the end of the day, like, something you just don't know. Like, it could be a character thing. It could be a homesick thing. It could be a play digestion thing. It could be, you've only got 1 year to learn this thing, and those 3 are all seniors. Like, there's all that could happen. There's so many factors. It's why football is the most unpredictable game there is. Think about this before we go. One assistant coach probably changes 10 to 11 players on your team, if not more, depending on how involved they are. Think about just how much one assistant coach can affect an entire team, like if he's not there, right? It's just interesting. I think about that all the time, how much just a coach and by default everybody he hires changes things in the matrix. Like, let's say we hired Johnson from Louisiana Tech instead of Zach Alley. Who's to say we don't have one of the best defenses of all time this year? We wouldn't know. We don't know. Like, he would have went after, 30 or 40 different guys than we got. We may not have got one single guy that was the same. I think about that a lot because football is one of those games because there's so many pieces on the board. It's so vast. It's not like in basketball where the variance is like, okay, you've got these 10 or 11 guys relatively that are going to play. In football, it's like you've got a mix of, there's literally thousands of combinations. So I think that's what makes it the hardest sport to predict, especially when it comes to guys that are transferring in with 1 year to go. It gets wild when you think about it. Food for thought. Thanks for making Locked On West Virginia your first listen, and for thinking of Locked On Podcast Network, where we talk about your team, the Mountaineers, every single day. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. It was fun to have Coach Kellogg on today. Appreciate you guys for all your support. That video is done pretty well. Make sure you share it out. Subscribe to the channel if you're new around here. And we'll see you on the next one. Have a great night, guys. And I'm out.